Folks, you know what time it is. It is another edition of Sunday Morning Coffee. Alright. Before you get all pissy with me, I got two of them in a row now. Alright, I'm sorry. I swear to you, I try not to do it again. Well, here's the skinny. I made the decision 2 weeks ago that last week was going to be a turnaround in the shop. Attitude, morale, function, production. Really a piss poor idea. Really a piss poor idea for the short view. The reason I'm saying is, for the short view is, we took some pretty fucking heavy hits in June. July's treated us alright. But at this point, we're working on primarily projects sitting. Projects that have stagnated. Projects that just need to go. Sounds great. That's tomorrow's money. I have been steadily working on a situation, juggling a situation, trying to keep today's money and tomorrow's money both moving parallel. Bring in the weekly cash flow so the jobs of import and profit can be done well, right, and we can afford to do them with still paying bills, everything else. I was making the best poor decision I had in front of me. We moved the shop a year ago next month. It's taken us a year now to get in a position we can start maneuvering our stagnant projects in. This is a business that started 3 years ago in September. 3 years ago in September, I painted my first car. Oh, I'd helped out. I had been labor. I had been muscle on some body and paint work. But I wasn't exactly the guy doing it. You know, it wasn't my jobs that I was helping with. Well, that's all good and fine as well. I went out, I found all you guys. I read and researched and scrounged and made it happen. This is what I wanted to do. My formal training is in welding and business and carpentry. Carpentry by volume of years in that trade. So we started unfunded. I couldn't find work, so I made work. That's literally how all this began. I couldn't find work, so I made work. I could have went back to being a carpenter for people I know and done probably pretty well. I would have rather hung loosely from the lowest branch. Particular industry of interest just ate me up, chewed me up, and spit me out. That'd be like going back to an abusive ex, knowing next time they'll probably shoot you in the face. It's how I felt, okay, emotionally. But we started unfunded. We didn't have money. We buy a piece of equipment here and there as we move along. We barter for stuff. We trade for stuff. You know, you get a cheap welder over here, trade it for a drill press over there. Paint a truck real quick. Trade that work for a welder. This is how we've gotten along. I'm not going to say we've done fantastic, because we haven't. We've gotten hungry a lot. But it's suited us. It's served its purpose. We've done well enough. Three years ago today, I decided to take a whole different tack in my life. My life was a shit sandwich. And I decided on this fucking day 3 years ago, it was all going to be different. Everything I knew and had done before, I was doing something else. The things in the past that I had tried, methods and such, I was going to go do the opposite. I've done that for 3 years. It's been a rough ride. It's been a lot of retraining my brain, how I process and act on information, how I gather information. I decided that everything I was doing up to that point had made me miserable, a drunkard, and basically a worthless human being. So I quit doing that. So that's your backstory. Here we are today. A year ago we moved. We've recovered 69 GMC. It's sitting in front of the shop out in the fucking way of everybody in the alleyway, and I don't care. I got some footage. I'll pop it up. We'll get going on. Back to why I got two of these back to back. I got footage to show you. I'm working on it. I'm really fucking working on it. Here's the deal. You take and go after old money and go after tomorrow's money and ignore today's money, because we turned down work. We turned down quite a bit of work this week. And the stuff we did pull in mounted up as cash flow to eat and to buy materials and supplies and parts. Because we're working on jobs that stagnated. All that money was eaten in overhead or in the pieces, parts, materials we had sitting for that project. Generally, I get a deposit in, I go in and get the stuff I need. I didn't always do that. The GMC ate me up. I allowed its money to get eaten up on overhead. It's not like I got some high spending habits or anything like that. Just overhead, just survival. Okay? So, bad business move, you bet. Best bad decision I had at the time available to me? Yes. So, no internet. I haven't paid some bills, no internet. I'm going to post this up off the hotspot on my phone. That's as good as it gets, brothers, sisters, and all the folks in between. Last week was what you would call a high stressor week. Nick, new guy, come along great. He is a scattered young man. We've had, I guess, a quote, official disciplinary action in the shop. And it was alright. I mean, it's part of life in a shop or any work environment. Alright, so really backstory there. Fast forward 3 years later, here we are. Here we sit, damn near 3 years later. It'll be September I started the shop. Today, 3 years ago, I started over. I was sleeping on my mother's couch, homeless, trying to figure out what the fuck to do with my life and how best to take care of my children. I got a pit bull laying here with me, and he's shaking what I'm sitting on. He's a good boy, though. Smog! Get comfortable, fool. You keep shaking me up. Alright, so, where we at? The shop, operations, procedures, monies, projects. I look around the shop this week, and I'm not telling you I'm where we need to be. I'm telling you we're finally on that correct path. I look in there, and we got a 68 Chevelle 72 C10, 71 Monte Carlo sitting out front and getting an engine dropped in it. It's a 69 GMC. My mechanic around the way that I'm doing the 72 C10 for. He's supposed to come pick up 67 230 SL that has completely stagnated for many months. Which puts us with one project in the yard that's stagnant and needs to get started on. And it'll be August or September. I'm pulling that son of a bitch in, and we're getting it done. Too little, too late, perhaps. This is how you do it on less than shoestring and survive. Not happily, not well, but goddamn it, if this is what you want to do, it can be done with nothing or less. Too little, too late on the last one sitting out there. It might be. I hope not, but it might be. My stress levels and tensions have been rising every day steadily for the last several months because we have these stagnant projects. I'm an asshole because they're stagnant. They're not getting the work they need. On the same respect, I have to mind my responsibilities to my shop, my partner, our workers, and my children. Which means you gotta go out and find today's money. So you're running a shop. You get a deposit in, you go out and get all the materials, consumables you need for that project, put them on a shelf. Even if you're not going to get to that project for many months, the shop's a controlled environment. You can store materials there for years. If you're not comfortable with that, you go and put money on a account for those materials, plus about 20%, because if materials go up, you need that money there. Get that money out of your hands. If you're new, fresh, struggling, money in your hands, you're eventually going to fold and use it for overhead. Get rid of that money. Get rid of that money for the right things. And you best goddamn well have had more in your deposit than you're going to have in consumables and materials and products. Because you always have to have a little bit for the pot. Second is, pay yourself first. Even if it's minuscule and you're just getting basic survival needs. Why? Because the boss is no fucking good if he can't get to work, if he's got no gas money. The boss is no good if he's a filthy, disgusting slob because he's got no water at his home or food in his fridge. It's not a selfish act to make the statement, pay yourself first. It makes you creative, because now you're short. Now you have to figure out how to come up with the extra $200, $300, $500 you need that week. You will get creative. But with that creativity, because you are fed, you are rested, you're able to get where you need to get. Your mind will work better. You are less prone to make decisions from emotion. Never make financial decisions from emotion. I've done it before. I'm guilty of it on a regular basis. I guess that's the curse of being a Cancer. Stomach and emotion rule just about everything. Be wary of that shit. Sit down, do the math. Numbers don't lie. Math is math is math. Numbers don't fucking lie. If it doesn't work out in the numbers, don't do it. You know, just like investors always say. Good investors always say, if you don't understand the investment, don't invest in it. If it intrigues you, enlightens you, or you're passionate about it, but you still don't understand it, learn. I've learned a lot of hard knocks on how to do shit the wrong way and still tread out just enough water to keep the boat from sinking. Am I on specifically the right path? No. But we are riding the course. Why all this about all this today? Well, fuck. You guys are my sounding board. If I can put this in words, if I can quantify it and explain it, it makes sense to me. I'm able to act on it. I'm able to move on it. You guys just happen to be the unfortunate happenstance of being audience to it. This shit could bore the hell out of you. Hit stop, move on, man. It's all good. Next thing about shop and owning stuff and whatever, you can't take nothing personal. People take shit personally way too often. Business is business and it ain't personal. You know, it's about bread and meat. You don't make no bread, you don't eat. Same thing with the next guy. A recent, for instance, let's just say, I could be upset about this. I know guys that would be upset about this. I'm not upset. I'm actually pretty happy over the situation. Our buddy Shane with the 1980 Camaro that we did, the Z28 we did, he wants to do another project. And the subsequent second project he brought in for us to look at, it actually shined a light on a lot of things that he needed to observe and look at and understand. Furthermore, put us in a position of, you get something you want, have us look at it. Have us look at it. We can give you a ballpark, a hip shot from on the spot right there, without going through all the numbers, without going through all the materials, color codes you need, because that changes prices, parts, without really getting into it. You don't know for sure. But I can be like, your over-under is this. I know this well enough. It could get this ugly up here, or it could be this simple. If it's just what it looks like now, it could be this simple. Now he bought a 72 C10. It was a one-family truck. And I was really worried for the guy because I felt he paid way too much for it. I know what I would have paid for it. I know what he paid for it. I felt he paid too much. And that's one thing. When I add up my numbers, it's math. Somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I got this much budget. I'm not going to go spend that budget for them. I'm going to do the math. Now, if they got an $8,000 budget and I do the math, I can do the work for $6,000. Guess what? I tell them I can do it for $6,000. If I do the math and it's $12,000, I tell them it's going to be $12,000. We're throwing hypothetical numbers here, but you understand how this goes. Big round numbers are easier to explain with. So we look over the truck. And we discussed the truck before. I gave him a roundabout idea. You could be in $7,000 to $8,000 getting the metal work done, the body fixed up and painted. You got to pull the box and all these things. When we're done with that, you're still going to have to put a bed floor in it, because that's where we're at. You're going to have to buy metal, because that's where we're at. I know those C10s well enough at this point. They all have the same problems. They all have about the same cost. And he had gotten the truck, and he thought it was a lot nicer than it was. He's a businessman. It was raining out. He couldn't crawl around on the ground in his business clothes and his work clothes. I said, man, you get in a spot like this, call me. I'll wallow around in the mud. I don't give a damn. I want to see you get a vehicle and buy it right so you can afford to do the work, you can afford to sell it. He just wants to buy them, fix them, drive them around for a couple months and sell them. Cool. That's a neat way for you to get every muscle car you ever wanted without ever having the long-term expense of it. Because if you do it right, it'll pay for itself and you still get a couple months of fun. Alright, that being, that's exactly it though. He would have been in too deep at that point. He couldn't have made the money he wanted off it. He had engine issues he needed to take care of, probably a rebuild. Cab corners, rocker panels, floor sections, floor braces, bed sides, bed floor, and probably some chassis work, because they all need it. A 72 C10. So, there you go. That's your for instance. I've been playing Pit Boss most of this week. It boils down to simple fact. Jeremy is my partner. I'm the leader of the shop. As a leader of the shop, you can't go in there and freak out emotionally if your bills are behind, or if your old lady pissed you off, or if anything. You gotta hold your shit together. You're gonna freak out, you do that outside, off the clock. If you're really bound and wound, you need to leave, be like, I gotta go get something. And go out in the middle of the woods and scream and throw and yell and cut a tree down with an axe, whatever it takes. But the minute you lose your shit in front of your crew, morale dumps and everything comes apart. We're at the point exactly right now, specifically this second, that the first domino of catastrophe is teetering. But it's not one domino, it's 4 or 5. If I allow any one of those to go, it could destroy the shop and everything I've worked for. So you hold it together. You push the guys without being belligerent. Push them by leading. I have the capacity to work any other motherfucker into a hole in the ground. If I have to prove a point, I might need carried out of the shop at the end of the day, but I can do it. I've done it before. I'll do it again. But you got to keep your spirits up. Check your attitude at the door. This is what you're doing. If you're running the show, you're a fucking leader. You can lord over people and be the boss. That's cool. Not my thing, not my style. I'm just another man on the floor, but I'm the leader. I'm the leader of that crew, leader of that team. That's my latest installment, I reckon, of Shop Talk. Like I said, we're not where we need to be, but we're definitely in the right lane finally. It's not magic, it's just work. And if you do the work, the money will be there. You learn, you grow some wisdom. Find other people that you can lean on for discussion outside the shop. 2 reasons. You're not bringing those discussions to the guys where their minds start wandering on shit they don't need to. They need to stay focused on what's in front of their noses. Mind you, I discuss things with, both my partner and our helper. And I'll let them know the big things of what's going on. But I don't get the helper involved in things of, well, next month, next year, next whatever. No future planning. Just what's in front of them. Teach them his disciplines. Get the standard operating procedures drilled in. And those evolve and change over time too. So I'm not here trying to preach. I'm not out here trying to say I'm better than anybody. I'm out here trying to say I'm an average motherfucker and I can make it happen. If my 9-year-old son can walk in the shop, set up the welder, and start welding, you can do it. If I can go in a shop, get it set up, operating, and functioning, you can do it. Now it's time just to go do that if that's what you have to do. If that's imperative for you. There's never a good time to do it. There isn't. It's like having kids, man. You're never ready for it. But if you're even half the man you should be, you'll never regret it. And this is Sunday morning coffee. I'm Adam Niffen. I'm signing out for the day. Go out and do something you're passionate about. Don't be silly and start a shop. If you have to start a shop, get funded. Get a business plan. Get outside people to audit and counsel you. Because they're unemotional about it. And above all, for that first couple of years, don't get a vehicle one you're passionate about in that shop. If that's the vehicle you want to own, you'll go bankrupt trying to make it how you think it should be. You have to maintain some dispassion over the vehicles. You can love them all you want, but you have to be dispassionate. You're a goddamn professional now. You folks have a great day. I appreciate every single one of you that pop on and view and leave comments. Thank you for listening to me ramble. I do appreciate it. Go out and do something wonderful. Go out there and make your week beat my year. Do something you can look back on and go, fuck yeah. That's what life's about. Work to live, don't live to work.